Welcome to the Cinephile Hissy podcast, the tirade film movie debate podcast hosted by two film critics, two cool dads, and struggling teachers. I'm Don Shanahan.
I'm Will Johnson.
Folks, Will is still here. It's been 4 weeks. He hasn't shaved. He's wearing the same clothes. It's a Tampa Bay Super Bowl shirt. I think Chicagoans are going to beat him up, but no, it's been 5 minutes.
They can't get close enough because of the smell.
So. Yeah, no, it's been 5 minutes since the last episode. So we're here again for a little bit of a mini-zode experiment we have where we are kind of taking love-hate deep cuts into actors. Mm-hmm. And while Will is here in Chicago visiting, we looked up some Chicago-born actors. Last time we did this little piece, he was very surprised to hear that Harrison Ford was a Chicago-born actor. And sure enough, we've got another big hitter for you, and it's Robin Williams, born here in Chicago. So for this format, not exactly the bell here, not exactly Love and Hate, but we're going to go back and forth with some deep cuts of how we feel about Robin Williams. So to kind of open this up, we're going to everyone knows Aladdin, everyone knows his big hits, but we're going to try to kind of pick out some things that we liked, some things that we hated, and that we've really enjoyed from one of the best two-way actors to ever walk the face of the earth, in my opinion.
Well, let's absolutely two-way actor for sure, because
that's the Daniel Day-Lewis test I talk about.
He's made me laugh, he's made me cry. I mean, he's made me do everything. Well, we were looking through his filmography, and I think we agreed that basically from when did he die? 2018, maybe?
It's like, is it been 10 years now? No,
not 10. No.
3?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But either way, basically from his
2014.
Death, if you go
it's
back,
been 7 years.
Oh my God. So if you go from 2014 backwards, we were only able to find like one or two films we actually liked. So I think
his late career was rough.
Yeah, I think the latest year in which he had a phenomenal, just not hit after hit, because some of these were not hits, but
you were saying 06, right?
No, 02.
That was a hell of a year. That's the banner year that stands out as like, wow.
Yeah, because that was like so there was 1 Hour Photo, Insomnia, and Death to Smoochie.
Let's talk about those three.
Yeah. So Insomnia, as everyone knows, not really a Nolan guy, but I'm okay with that because it's him adapting someone else's work. So I'm not as pissed off about his original work.
And Robin brings out a different version of himself than he normally does. So with all three of these, but that's to me, this is of the three, this is the least one of the three.
Absolutely, I agree. But what's cool about it, and I always remember this story. I can't remember who told the story. Maybe it was Nolan. It's on some behind the scenes documentary somewhere. But they basically said that the thing about Robin Williams was he was so, and you could feel this in his performances, especially his comedic performances, which is why his dramatic performances are so shocking, because he's so wild and energetic.
Oh yeah.
I think Nolan was saying, or somebody was saying that, he would tamp down that energy so much to play these calm, deliberate villains, especially like in Insomnia, that when you said cut, he literally would just start bouncing off the walls because he had so much energy
wound up
inside him.
Bottled up.
Yeah. So I found that very interesting. And that, in a way, can also add, if you're playing a villain and you're supposed to be kind of evil or twisted inside or conflicted, imagine trying to suppress that energy. And you're just sitting there going like you're just furious underneath, So I think that makes a great performance. But 1 Hour Photo is probably my favorite of the three.
I think I'll say it like this. I think from a nuance level, that's the finest acting performance he's ever done.
Which one? 1 Hour Photo?
1 Hour Photo.
Because
of, like you said, knowing what he is and who he is.
Right.
To twist that, torque that, all the way, bottle it down for you, because he puts on that gray hair, he puts on that terrible little lab costumes thing he's got going with the 1 Hour Photo thing at the drugstore, but he dials it so far down that you forget you're watching Peter Pan and Popeye. Like he's so convincing as this creep, and it's his most nuanced performance, which to me, for a guy who is so explosive, means it's one of his best performances. The movie blows me away.
I would, since we're trying to avoid the big heavy hitters, I still think personally my favorite nuanced performance of his is Good Will Hunting, personally.
Of course.
But I agree with you.
But the bubbly personality is still kind of there, you know.
That makes him more human to me. This is obviously
but to play something so inhuman as this creature of a man.
But the great thing about 1 Hour Photo is it's almost a time capsule movie. Because
truly,
when you and I say 1 Hour Photo, we know what that means.
Totally.
But to like my children, if I say, "Hey, 1 Hour Photo," they're gonna be like, "What the hell is that?" Because everything's on your phone now. Yeah, it's that was a time. You got to remember the added creepy factor to that was, when you had a camera. And let's say you had some personal photos on there or anything maybe embarrassing. You're handing it to a stranger who's going to print it out and look at it. Like we forget about that. So the fact that like this movie plays in the idea that anyone could be looking at your photos. Nevertheless, Robin Williams going home and putting children's photos all over his walls and doors. That's frightening.
Yeah. Low key, one of the most demented movies I've ever seen. And like I said, not in the most. I feel like if Hollywood made that today, now don't get me wrong, the movie goes off the rails in violent fashion.
Sure.
But you make that movie today, they would dial it to 12 and make it overly loud and overly weird and just like I said, the nuance. They just put that straight down.
Can we sidetrack for a minute about that? Who directed that movie?
That is Mark Romanek, who has since kind of a music video and commercial guy, fellow Chicagoan. Okay. He did 1 Hour Photo and he did Never Let Me Go in 2010. He did the Hurt Johnny Cash music video, Closer to 9 Inch Nails. Very much a music video guy. And he's just
did a Beyonce thing.
Yeah, so he's not done a ton of stuff since. Let me get to his most recent filmography. It's the last thing he did because I feel like he's dropped off the face of the earth. So 1 Hour Photo was his directing debut, and he did Never Let Me Go 8 years later, and that's it.
Okay,
he's been very music video since.
I was going to say that movie has an energy to it of a Hollywood outsider. It doesn't have like you said, if they made it
the
now
way it's shot, almost Wes Anderson-ish, where you're bringing symmetry into play.
It doesn't suck. So anyway, the point.
West is hard for me. I don't. Yeah.
So he directed a movie in 1985 and then 2002.
Right. Oh
wow.
Yeah. So Static is.
It looks like a low budget.
Total low budget thing. I don't know where they're going with it. I don't want to be there part time. Yeah.
Anyways, I was just curious because adding to your argument about that, it has an energy to it that is not very Hollywood, which I think benefits someone as big as Robin Williams. Because when you go in, like you said, there's some movie stars, Tom Cruise, maybe not so much Harrison Ford, which we talked about last time, but a lot of movie stars can take you out of a picture. Frances McDormand and No Man Land. So I think Robin Williams can take you out of a picture too.
That's true because you look at it and go, "Oh my gosh, it's Robin Williams."
Yeah, but then in that one, like you said, it's nuanced. You don't think it's Robin Williams.
Yeah, and then the last one of that 2002 triumvirate is take all of the manic energy of Robin Williams and point it in the most wild direction, and that's Death to Smoochie, which was slaughtered by audiences and critics in 2002. Yeah. But I dig it because it's got balls.
Well, yeah,
to just be a real dark comedy.
I remember, I think Jon Stewart hosted the Oscars the year that came out, and his big claim to fame was, I think in the broadcast, he said, remember that the Oscars are hosted by the fifth star of Death to Smoochie. Fifth build star of Death to Smoochie. But
it's become a butt of a joke, and it's a shame.
It kind of has that, we were talking about, that Barry Levinson energy where it's just a little off kilter. It might have been Barry Levinson. I don't know.
It's somebody known. I know that.
And it's also one of the few Edward Norton performances I can actually stand.
He's hit or miss for me too. But like same thing. That's directed by Danny DeVito.
Oh, Danny DeVito. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's got that madcap Danny DeVito energy.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right.
But I think people don't like seeing their childhood hero things fucked with, and that movie subverts the Barney stuff, and people don't want to see that and realize that maybe there's creepers there, and there are.
Very true.
All right, so we're a love-hate show. We've done a bunch of love. What are some Robin Williams ones? You're like, this movie's shitty, hate it.
I don't know if these are the same year, so forgive my knowledge here, but there was at least a 1-2 punch within the same time zone. Let's say of Jack and Father's Day.
They're a year apart. Jack in 96, Father's Day 97.
Father's Day, it takes a lot for me to. Was Father's Day? What year was that? 96?
97.
Okay, so
Ivan Reitman as Ghostbusters.
Jesus, I I think I was either in 8th grade or freshman year of high school. So it takes a lot for me to notice advertising at that age.
Yes.
It's very, for cynical 40-year-olds like ourselves, it's very easy to spot. But as a kid, so I remember the marketing campaign for Father's Day. I'm playing up the idea of Billy Crystal and Robin Williams together in film. And they sold that like crazy.
Oh, yeah. Can't go wrong. Like, oh, wow, this could be great.
Pumped with that. And then when you watch it and it's just so bad. It's, I mean, it's awful.
Awful jokes. Nothing lands good.
And Jack
before it is Francis Ford Coppola. And you're like, oh, heartfelt Robin Williams, we can go with this. This is obviously a year before Good Will Hunting. But like the Benjamin Button and like getting older instead of getting younger thing. And like, oh, it's got there's a premise there, but then it's one of Robin Williams's very many sentimental schmaltzy movies that
like Patch Adams.
Like, oh my God,
which is better than Jack.
We can go all day. Patch Adams, Jacob the Liar, Bicentennial Man. I mean, there's this What Dreams May Come. Some of them land with different audiences. Like, for example, I'm a huge What Dreams May Come guy.
Yeah.
But that one, Jack, when people ask, Donnie, do you ever fall asleep in movies? I'm like, no. But Jack is a movie I fell asleep. Usher waking me up at the end, fall asleep.
I saw it in the theater, and I think the next week I saw Island of Dr. Moreau. So it's just a rough 2 weeks there.
That's a rough one too.
But but it was Jack was something that you go into and you feel like the concept should work, and there's a couple of jokes that fall.
Yeah.
But overall, you're just like, what's missing here? It just feels wrong.
Yeah. And maybe it's a year after. 2 years after Billy Madison, where we see an old person go to school already. And Adam's funnier than Robin at that point. But the premise is funnier when it's a comedy.
Right. And I think, and this furthers my argument, hot take here. Obviously, I've taken issue recently with a lot of the new wave directors that are taking current Hollywood to task for being quote unquote uncreative and everything. I've always kind of had a problem with Francis Ford Coppola because when you look at his history, first of all, when he has had the most success has generally been when he's been under the thumb of a studio.
True.
When he's been left to his own devices, his films are absolute train wrecks. Yeah. So, I have trouble.
I'm with you. There's a place where the studio can and shouldn't rein people in or make it a collaborative process.
Right. I think with the Scorseses and the Francis Ford Coppolas, they need to try to meet in the middle instead of going to one extreme or the other. Because when you look at Francis Ford Coppola, Jack is a perfect example. It's like, when he has a good idea and he has studio backing, like Peggy Sue Got Married, fantastic film. Yeah. And things that shouldn't work, like Nicolas Cage being completely weird in that movie, but it works.
Even a year after Jack, he's got The Rainmaker, the Grisham movie with Damon,
which is fine. Yeah.
I think it's the most audience accessible Grisham movie.
Yes,
because it's just plays a little lighter.
It's a great story too. It's a good book too, even though John Grisham.
All right, so we did some worst. Let's do some best and personal favorites here.
Okay, well, you like What Dreams May Come. Talk about that.
I do. As an existential person who is, between being an agnostic guy or a church guy or a person who wrestles with that, I'm always fascinated by the afterlife. Movies like Ghost, movies like What Dreams May Come, or even just Field of Dreams do that for me, where I like the existential stuff. And then the artfulness of the Oscar-winning visual effects of turning paint into pixels was pretty cool.
This kind of counts as a Robin Williams movie because he appears in this ensemble piece. It's a terrible Woody Allen film, but it does have an interesting part about the afterlife, which is deconstructing Harry.
Ooh, okay.
That is a great one because to me, it's like my favorite representation of hell. Because it's actually a place where people that go to hell would want to go because they're with their people. Like, hell is this kind of great place for scoundrels. But anyway, Robin Williams is in that movie completely out of focus, if I remember correctly. So it was a weird Woody Allen touch. But
you got any other favorites here? Other than the big ones.
Yeah, we
all love big ones. Like you said, Night Museum is a lot of fun.
I think
I'm a Hook kid where Spielberg is delightful.
I think the key that we're noticing here when you talk about his best performance is something like Good Will Hunting, Fisher King, stuff like that.
Awakenings is very
Awakenings is a little different than what I'm going for. I think when you can combine both of his dramatic and comedic chops, like Fisher King,
rare for a movie to do both. You're right.
Fisher King has that madcap energy of him, but it also has dramatic elements. Good Will Hunting has funny Robin Williams moments, but also very dramatic, very sad moments. Awakenings is, I think, the great part about Awakenings is that he's not only playing against type as a very serious doctor, but he's also going. You can see how good of an actor he is because he's going up against an arrow.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
So
an early part for me where it was good. A Good Morning in Vietnam is not bad. Where obviously Madcap energy. In those scenes, I love the soundtrack of the movie because all those cuts are on there where you can imitate them on your own microphone at home and think you can yell like he does. But at the same time, there's a dramatic angle there, which obviously years before he would do other things, but it's not a bad movie. It's I feel like underseen today. Most people know the radio parts, but don't know the Vietnam part.
Exactly.
But I know you've dropped some stuff like. I always forget how many little things he's been in, like you said, Dead Again.
That was a playing against type thing where he's kind of a creep, like he's
right. 9 months, he's got a, but he'll do creepy. He'll do little things of creepy low value. He'll do crazy funny moments, like when he shows up as the doctor in 9 months. You're like, oh my god, here he comes.
I don't know if this says anything about my comedic taste, but I saw that with my parents, and I mean. In terms of theater experiences, we saw it at a sold-out theater in Tampa. I just remember my dad howling, my mom howling, the audience going nuts at how funny he was.
Because I don't remember if he was in the trailers or if he was known for being in the movie.
I don't think so.
Because I think he's a surprise cameo, and then you're like, holy shit, it's Robin Williams.
Yeah, it was.
And he does his little bit, and it's perfect.
That's true. That's very true.
Well, cool. This has been good deep cuts here.
Yeah, good deep cuts. You guys should definitely watch some of these, especially 1 Hour Photo. I think is the one we're on.
We're throwing our darts at the 2002 bullseye. Go if you want to see 3 of the best of Robin Williams. Go to that year and get all 3. You'll get something.
Don't watch Popeye.
No, don't watch.
Follow us on Twitter at Cinephile Fit and on Facebook at Cinephile Hissy Fits Podcast. Also find us both on Letterboxd. Casablanca Don is him, and Will Joe is me. Thank you so much for your captive audience and social media participation. Cinephile Hissy Fits is a 25YL media podcast brought to you by RuminationsRadioNetwork.com. Please visit, rate, review, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this show, we have more where that came from. Not only do we have a live show coming up, or it might have already come up, who knows. We have interesting hosts, interesting guest hosts, wonderful guests. We've already booked a bunch of guests. We got more on the way. This is all available on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere you find your favorite show.